It has been probably a month or more since I've even filmed anything on my car because I was waiting on wheels and tires. So after, I think a month and a half of waiting on wheels and tires, I got wheels. But I don't have tires. And so my wheels came in last week and the tires are apparently in stock today. So I'm going to first test fit the wheels on the car right now to make sure that they actually clear the brakes, which the internet told me they would, so therefore they should. And then I'm gonna go take to the shop and get them mounted. It's really nice to finally be putting the wheels on the car. Changing out all the ball joints and putting in new coilovers actually took about a week and a half, but the wait between that, which is the last video you saw, and putting on the wheels here was a month and a half. Like literally in that time, I drove from Texas to California on a road trip and back. So it's nice to finally be back and have the wheels to finally finish off this whole part of the project. Wow, they actually look pretty clean. So the clearance I know is pretty good on the front wheels here. But if you remember when I installed the new brake lines on the fronts, I snapped one of the banjo bolts that came with the brake lines, which was a low profile one. And so I had to put back one of the old ones, which is a little taller. So I do also need to test fit the other side, which has the taller bolt, which is not ideal that they're both different. But that's the main thing I've been concerned about. But there's a good amount of clearance on this side, so I'm not too concerned at all. Yeah, so you can see that's the banjo bolt there. There's a decent amount of clearance. Not too worried, but I'm gonna check the other side here in a minute. So everything was going pretty good, and I know these wheels will fit. I was just checking it because something always goes wrong. And then I got a little bit of a scare right here. Oh no. Oh no. Oh man, it works. Oh, it was a close fit. There's at least half an inch. Ah, oh, that was scary. Because if that didn't fit, I would have had to remove the banjo bolt, essentially disconnect this brake line, and put in a new banjo bolt, which would also mean that I have to reflush the entire brake line system, which would have just been annoying to do, especially because I'm done with that. But I'm pretty happy to see this. So that's how much clearance I'm looking at there. It looks quite small on camera, but it's about half an inch. It's not ideal, but at least there's a good amount of clearance. So I'm pretty much ready to take the wheels to the tire shop. I am going to quickly check the clearance of the wheel when I turn it, because it is a wider wheel. And if I've learned anything from making these, from working on this car, is that nothing will ever go as planned. So I'm gonna triple check everything here before I mount the wheels, because once you mount tires on wheels, you can no longer return them. And it would be a shame if I put the tires on without testing anything and then coming home and being stuck. So I'm gonna do that here quickly. And guess what? The internet was right. That's good. But I'm really glad I did these checks, because there's so many times that I didn't do proper checks that I kept running into issues. So I'm starting to learn. Nothing's touching. So, it's awesome. So after I confirmed that the wheels do fit, I jacked up the rest of the car so that it'd be ready to take the wheels off and put the new ones on. And then it was time to load it up in my car and head to the tire shop. After nearly 2 months of talking about getting new wheels and tires, I was finally in that home stretch. And so here they finally are. And man, did they look good! And for those wanting to know what specs these are Advanti Storm S1s in 15 by 8 inches with a 25mm offset, wrapped in 205/50 tires. I got my wheels! And I was so excited to see these on the car that I couldn't wait until the next morning. I mean, this is my first time ever putting aftermarket wheels on a car that I own, so I just put a camping headlight on and got started putting them on, even though it was pretty dark. This was also really nice to take a break from all the complicated mechanical work I was doing. After fixing up all the suspension and coilovers, it was nice that the only job that I really had to do here is take off the old wheels and put on the new ones. But at the same time, this is the most visually changing work I've done on the car. So it was pretty exciting to see it really start to transform the look of the car. I actually also really love the look of the stock 16-inch wheels on the car. The silver really complemented the paint well, and the curves really matched the curvy look of the car. But at the same time, the 16-inch wheels were a little too big proportionally to the car, and it kind of made it look like a toy Barbie car, which are the exact words that many of my friends have told me, which I don't mind. It was pretty funny. But the new ones are a bit sharper, darker, and better proportioned to the size of the car. So I also really like the sharper and sleeker look that it gave to the car. They're all on, just need to torque it down. So I don't know the torque spec for these wheels, but I know the previous ones were 85 foot-pounds, and I couldn't find anything online, so I'm just gonna torque it to 80 to play it safe. But that should probably be within the ballpark that I need. I was feeling really good. I mean, I've taken off and put these wheels on so many times on this car that this was really a piece of cake. Oh yeah, it needs to be on the ground first. I'm a dum-dum. And I made the same tiny mistake that I always do. I forgot to put the car on the ground before I tighten up the lug nuts, because otherwise the wheel just spins and you are not really able to tighten any of them. And finally, I need to properly inflate the tires. I really wasn't sure what PSI to inflate them to, since I changed the shape and size of the tire. But after some research, I just stuck with what's right on the door jamb. Now that I'm all done, I'm gonna do the last thing I've been putting off. And that is, my mom got me some little cute Mazda tire pressure caps. So I'm just gonna put these on. Final touch. And with that little cherry on top, the car was finally ready for its first drive. And here it is, the car with the new suspension, coilovers, and wheels, all done. The car was finally fully functional again. I fixed all the major mechanical issues that I had that prevented me from driving it hard or long, and was finally ready to go on some serious drives again. I kind of couldn't believe that I'd actually completed all of this work and finally reached the end. But of course, it's not always the end. There is still more work I'm gonna do. But mechanically, this car is set. And so with all that work done, I was finally able to take the car on some more aggressive drives. I was surprised that I could actually feel a little bit of difference with the wheel size. The car definitely felt a little bit more nimbler, mainly when I was accelerating and handling. And I kind of knew what to look out for before. Even though I've never changed car wheel sizes before, I have changed my electric skateboard's wheel size before and noticed how that impacts your top speed and on the other side, your acceleration. So it's kind of interesting to compare that to a car. But most noticeably, the new tires are dramatically better than the old ones. The old ones were 6-year-old all seasons, and the new ones are fresh summer performance tires. And not only did that car feel sticky, I could tell it was stickier because I could hear so much more road debris and pebbles being picked up by the sticky wheels and thrown into the wheel well. So every time I pull out of my driveway, which has a lot of pebbles, I can tell that I'm driving the new tires. So that made a huge improvement, and I'm really happy I made that change. Every time I look at forum posts about modifications to cars and Miatas, a lot of people always come back to the fact that before you really try to make more power with the car or do anything crazy with aero, that the most effective modifications you can start with are better tires and better suspension. So it's really cool to see how true that really is. It also took me a few days to get used to the look of the new wheels, because I'd always got so used to the oversized 16-inch look. When I moved down to the 15-inch wheel, it almost made the wheels feel too tiny because it didn't fill up the wheel well so much. But after a few more days of living with the car, I was starting to much prefer the sleeker new look of the car. So now that the car is mechanically sound and I'm more comfortable driving it hard, I'm going to shift my focus to work on other parts of the car, like fixing my shrunken soft top, upgrading the LEDs, fixing my latches, getting an alignment, and upgrading my exhaust, in addition to so many more things. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching.